Previously on Punk Jazz. For Jaco Pastorius, 1976 was his annus mirabilis. His first solo album was released to ecstatic reviews, if unspectacular sales. He launched an intensely productive creative relationship with Joni Mitchell, and he finally nailed down the gig he'd been chasing for years, the bass chair with Weather Report. His recruitment turned that celebrated combo's long-running double act of Joe Zawinul and Wayne Shorter into a triumvirate.
My future ex-wife at the time, she bought me Weather Report's Tail Spinning. Okay, I love that album. Then I hear my brother is going to be playing in Weather Report. I'm going, wow, that's cool. And he goes, yeah, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make this band turn down. Yeah, right, Jaco.
And he started playing, and in the beginning he couldn't play the music.
Joe Zawinul.
And one morning he says, Joe, man, I love your music and all that, but I run out of licks. I said, well, Jaco, if you don't play any licks, you cannot run out of them. And I show you how to approach it, and I showed him a few things. So all of a sudden, man, he became the best player I've ever heard.
No one else was playing like that. He was like on target all the time.
Wayne Shorter.
He didn't fish around, wishy-washy. He would just go ahead and attack. We both knew, Joe and I knew that a person who had a lot of individuality, and they have to have free reign.
And Free Reign was exactly what he got. Heavy Weather was the album which put Weather Report over the top with the crossover smash single Birdland. Jaco co-produced the album alongside Zawinul and contributed 2 key compositions, including Teen Town.
Teen Town is a place where I used to go dance when I was 13. You know, you're a kid, man. You go to Teen Town, and then you're trying to look for girls and stuff, and the ego trips are going on. And then at the end, you know, it gets a little mysterious, you know, because you start growing up, you know.
Teen Town was a great show, too, because we played the bass line together, you know, with my left hand and his bass line together. And he wanted to always be a little better than me, and it was fun.
Bobby Colomby.
He wanted to be better, faster. It really, he was a competitor, and I think that's what drove him so much. I think in Weather Report he met his match with Joe Zawinul. Joe was every bit that level of competitor.
In Joe Zawinul, Jaco had found a new daddy. Someone he would strive to please and impress, and also someone against whom to test his powers. Jaco's brother, Gregory.
I used to look at Jaco and Joe, and it was almost like two kids playing tag. It's like Jaco would run up and play something, it'd be like he'd run up and touch Joe and take off running, and Joe would chase him. And their level of communication was Jaco would just look over at Joe, and all of a sudden they'd just be right back to where they needed to be.
When you saw a Weather Report concert, Jaco in that band was looked at almost like an athlete.
Bob Bobbing was watching his old friend's progress from the stalls.
They would cheer him to do something, or he would come out and give them something that the others wouldn't give him. They wouldn't go, "Oh, Wayne, Wayne would play beautiful, he'd be appreciated with a clap, or Jaco would go out there and give the crowd what they wanted.
At certain points, certain junctures, he would become very animated to punctuate something musically. And even one time he leaped out into the audience when we finished, from the stage. He was a crowd pleaser, and no one else in the band ever had the ability to do that. And the thing was, Weather Report didn't sell out stadiums before Jaco. They played small colleges. Jaco joined the band, they sold out stadiums.
Weather Report now had a full-on rock star in their ranks. Audiences came to hear the band, but they came to see Jaco.
Seeing him on stage like that was like seeing him at home. I mean, that was Daddy.
Jaco's daughter, Mary.
That was his personality. Daddy was it. You know, Daddy was what everybody gravitated to because he was fun. He was exciting, and he just had this charisma.
Never slow to realise that you don't need a weather report to see which way the wind blows, Zawinul awarded Jaco his own solo spot in the show.
So on his bass solo, he put the guitar down on the floor and he played with a sound effect with a repeat motion. People went crazy.
The repeat pedal Jaco used had been a gift from his friend Pat Metheny.
He could take all these different things that he loved and transform them into something very singular. Jaco was an antenna waiting to accept transmission from all over the world with the ability to then, spit it back out with his own personal spin on it.
Themes from Hendrix, Stravinsky and The Sound of Music weren't everybody's idea of standard ingredients for a jazz performance. But as far as Jaco was concerned, they were all aspects of his music, as was jazz itself. Wayne Shorter.
He was actually saying that just to be a bass player keeping time is out of the question. He says the bass is an extension of what he wants it to be, himself and other things. Just like Miles Davis said one time, he said, "I'm not a trumpet player." He said, "I really don't play the trumpet. The trumpet is a fountain pen or a plume to tell stories. And if you train on just what a trumpet is supposed to sound like and what it's supposed to be, he said, you're going to miss the story." And Jaco was the same thing. The bass became a fountain pen.
River people, I wrote in the Everglades. I was bass fishing. The bass part is like I sang the bass part, you know. You know, it's just like, you know, people, you know, like a lot of people down in the mud on the river, you know. And then it's like these chords, the way they come in. It's just like this, it sounds like sunrise, you know, and it's just, you know, this incredible light, and the whole day passes, and then at the end, you start roaring, and you know, you start having a little fun, you party out of it into this little New Orleans feeling, you know.
Heavy Weather comes out in 77, gets a 5-star maximum rating in Downbeat. It's, you know, it's the #1 U.S. jazz publication, maybe one of the biggest ones in the world.
Jaco's brother Rory.
The next year, Mr. Gaughan's released. It gets 1 star. From what I understand, Jaco tells me Joe Zawinul's fuming. Jaco's like, this is great. We're getting headlines, 5 stars or 1 star. It's the 3 stars you gotta worry about. Because that's mediocre. And the one thing I'm not is mediocre.
Whatever the critics said, Jaco's first 3 albums as a full member of Weather Report all went gold. Weather Report may have been fundamentally a jazz band, but they sold like a rock band. And on the road, they behaved like a rock band.
I drank, Wayne drank too. We were drinkers. So in the afternoon we go have a good meal and drink a few, and before the gig we drink a few, and during the gig we drink a few.
Guitarist Mike Stern.
It's Stearns, man, yeah. You know, I'm playing with Zal. Yeah, it's happening, man. We're going, but I'm telling you, man, I got to get some sleep, man. Are you going to be reading about me in the obituaries, you know?
Jaco went from obscurity to, you know, the flavor of the month. And to see this weird bird evolve into the goose that laid the golden egg was a trip. He had an entourage following him. There were people who would fly in from out of town and sit on his yard just to maybe catch a glimpse of him, or maybe see the house where he lived. That's just true. And then if Tracy would come out and say, Jaco's not here, he's on the road or something, they'd ask to come in and sit by his piano for a little bit. You know, he had this supernatural status for a while there. I mean, he was something else, you know.
The whole time I was with Weather Report, these guys were always saying very outlandish. They, you know, we are the greatest, it's the greatest this, the greatest that. And I got kind of used to it.
Drummer Peter Erskine.
Just kind of went in one ear out the other. Then I remember seeing friends like Don Grolnick or Michael Brecker, and they would just kind of look at me like, wow, I don't believe what I just heard.
I've only been on records 2.5 years. It seems like I've been on them for much longer, though, because of my force.
You could come across a little arrogant. Wasn't necessarily, but, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. He had the perception of arrogance. In the private moments, it was like, you know, that's one of the things that changed after, can we talk about negative stuff? No. That when he had some substance things, like when that accidentally went up his nose.
One of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that Jaco was the straightest kid on the planet.
Jaco's brother, Gregory.
I mean, did absolutely nothing until, well, Weather Report, 76. So he would have been 25 years old before he really had a drink in his life. Jaco takes that first beer and he like relaxes for the first time in years. And somewhere inside went, boy, let's do that again. Cocaine had its place, but the alcohol just brought that whole mood swing reality into place.
One time he got drunk, and the next day he come to my room in the morning, he cried, he said he will never do it. And I said, it's okay, we all make mistakes, we get drunk. And then he played 2 months phenomenally, every night. As long as he was in the band, we were in control.
Joe Zawinul blithely overestimates his ability to control his wayward protege. For a start, Jaco had other irons in the fire than Weather Report. He was still working with Joni Mitchell as de facto musical director for her Shadows and Light tour, with an all-star band which also included Don Elias and Pat Metheny.
I think that Jaco really liked the attention, and I think he almost wanted to be like a rock star or something. That tour with Joni, I mean, that was like rock and roll, thousands of people every night, and there were Learjets and limousines and all the trappings that come with major pop level success, and he loved it.
Bobbing.
Recognition, money, drugs. People would receive him in every town and want to hang with him, and they would give him anything, so it was very difficult to be Jaco at that time. And as together as he may have been, Jaco worked so hard his first part of his career that finally he's exposed to all these things, these vices that all the other musicians have, that really, I think, overwhelmed him.
Joni Mitchell's touring schedule, combined with Weather Report's own road commitments, led Jaco to neglect his domestic life. His marriage was disintegrating. Jaco was also tiring of being Joe Zawinul's stuntman, of simply being part, no matter how prominent, of what would always be somebody else's band.
He wanted to write music, and it was real easy to go out and be techno wizard and blow everybody away, but that's not the same as sitting down and composing new music and and sorting out that part of your creative self.
Fortuitously, Jaco was approached by Warner Brothers Records, who lured him with a sweetheart deal.
He got a producer's contract. Okay, I'm Jaco CPA. I reviewed the contract before he signed it. It was a great little contract, and it gave him total artistic freedom with Warner Brothers. And it gave him a huge advance as a producer.
Back out on the road with Weather Report, Jaco played Joe Zawinul the tunes on which he'd been working during the band's last layoff. If he was seeking Zawinul's approval, he didn't get it.
I didn't like him that much. His compositions were good. His arranging was stock for me. It was not very creative. I thought there was a lot more he could have done with that. And I told him in the airplane, he was very upset.
Jaco's time with Weather Report was drawing to a close. By now, his ambitions were focused elsewhere.